In the pursuit of knowledge and understanding, young men and women gather at colleges and universities across the land. Research, lectures, great books provide the core for the learning experience. Theory and structure are integral parts of the whole. And yet many express the concern that there is a void, an uncomfortable and disturbing vacuum, that there is a dimension to learning that many times does not take place in the confines of the classroom. This is the campus for a unique international studies program. A campus complete with classrooms, laboratories, a library, bookstore, religious center, a 200-seat theater, and a hospital. Air conditioning and stabilizers assure smooth sailing anywhere in the world. On the World Campus Afloat, the missing dimension to the learning experience is at hand. Lecture and the written page come to life.
The snake charmers of Morocco are followers of a saint who was not afraid of the wilderness or the venom of poisonous animals. They believe in the saint's teachings and collect snakes, demonstrating their faith.
In night time, we just bring this one first up here, and we chop this one and we put up the close completely, because this is very, very sharp.
The thorn bushes?
Yeah, it's very sharp on the...
Yeah, is it?
Yeah, and when we close here, there's nothing coming, and in the morning time tomorrow at 6 o'clock, 6:30, and we're open, and the cows go now.
Okay. Do the villagers keep all the cattle together?
Yes.
In one place?
Yes, but everybody's know the house, cow. Because for an example, this is this mine, and my cows coming here.
I don't see any men your age around.
Well, you know, it's a gaunt for the cow, for the look of the cow.
The men don't do much around here.
Oh, no.
Wow.
Coba.
Jumbo.
Habari. Ini ayam kira ilat jangan. amar bijem ndo ya a shop au han kampi
amara
ya
nang na banyi yiro yeni ode emo
kira anda jem anda kuti bas ndungana ndo kuti
agara ba yira ma yoma janga twandi ya gudo ni ya yinyu de ka jaido na kiro die
bijem ndo malabi ana mai.
What do they mean? What do they for?
Wait, I hear you.
Like, I've heard that married women wear them, but...
oh be wire la kiro ya agara nya fa yet
Oh, that's decoration.
Dr. Ed Alderson, Dean of this semester's voyage.
World Campus Afloat is basically a innovative, experimental program of international education designed to be one, or in some cases 2 semesters of the college career of the student. We feel that the academic learning is foremost, but at the same time, intercultural understanding, relations with the people of the world, a basic overview of the problems of the world are nearly always among our objectives.
It's a world of laughter, a world of tears. It's a world of hopes and a world of fears. There's so much that we share that it's time we're aware it's a small world after all. 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 It's a small, small world.
Well, what else shall we sing? How about I'd like to teach the world?
Hey, yeah.
I'd like to teach the world.
Well, one thing we've enjoyed doing a lot is singing together on the ship. When we sing, we express our individuality, and we tend to feel closer to other people.
Hand in hand, and hear them echo through the hills for peace throughout the land. That's the song I hear. Let the world sing today. A song of peace that echoes on.
Welcome, King Neptune. I now turn over the helm of the ship to you. Well, as the anthropologists of the deep sea say, we will allow you the rites of passage. I call upon...
Teaching acting classes aboard the ship this semester and playing the part of King Neptune is the distinguished actor, Hollywood director, and teacher, Mr. Jeff Corey.
In teaching, one has to be patient. You feed the situation. You project ideas relative to the capacities of the individual student. And if you're sensitive and sensible, you give them things that they can cope with. They say that Balzac, who used to work all night and get up in the late afternoon, that one day a friend of his saw him as he left his hovel in Paris, and he was in a white smock and disarrayed, and seemed to walk around aimlessly, crossed the bridge, went to the, near Notre Dame, they have, the flower vendors have a market, and he kind of poked around and saw an old man in a frayed tweed jacket, and Balzac very surreptitiously went up to the old man, put a finger out, touched the frayed tweed on the man's sleeve, got an excited look in his eye, ran home and wrote a short story. Out of the little fragment, something very, very important that represented a whole life, a whole story came to him. In the same matter, the experiences that I get and the students on this ship will get will kind of fold itself in with other things in their lives and make lots of things suddenly meaningful.
Each semester, a distinguished faculty is selected from hundreds of applicants. Experience in the cultures and proven ability to work well with students are high priorities for the coveted positions. In addition to the regular faculty, Guest lecturers from the countries to be visited provide a personal introduction to a nation's history, culture, and customs.
Oh, people shake hands a lot in Morocco. You'd be surprised at how many times they shake hands. Every time they meet, they just go like this. And some of the older people would go with their hands to their heart. It means that it's carried with love. And the Moroccan usual greeting is Salamu Alaikum, and it means peace on you.
You wouldn't see all areas with this same tribal, with this same marks, you see, or scarification, as you call them. Some of the marks are also for just decorative purposes, and others are for religious purposes, and others still are also just for, just for fun, and you see that in Western society too.
Prior to each port, all resources are pulled together to make the in-port experience as meaningful as possible.
You're going to be in India for 6 days, and I hope during this time you will get yourself invited in to some Indian schools so that you can study the situation of schools and the social problems which exist in India which impinge upon education today.
Lex, when you get to Mahabalipuram, you'll have an opportunity to see many examples of the Hindu art. You can sketch right on location and study the design motifs on these temples.
About 10 million citizens of East Pakistan, the then East Pakistan, really spilled over, into India as refugees and imposed a tremendous economic burden or a strain on our own internal resources. It was for this reason that India really had to intervene.
I'm sure that when we land in India in the next few days, one of the dominant impressions that you're going to have of this country, in distinct contrast to what we've been seeing in Africa, is the tremendous diversity of the country.
Well, classical dance of India, the heritage goes back to more than 2000 years ago. The classical dance is a part and parcel of Indian life and culture. We have got certain emotions. That is categorized as 9 emotions. They are called Nava Rasa. Nava is 9, Rasa means expression. That's in Sanskrit. The 9 emotions are, that one is Sringara, that is love. I'll demonstrate it to you. What is love? Of course, I'll show you. Veeram, that is heroism. Now, Raudram is anger. The expressions should follow with the hand gestures. Like in language, we have alphabetical gestures. Pataka, Tripataka, try to hold. That's good. Ardha Pataka, Kartari Mukha, Kartari. But in dance, we always have the theme, story theme. Krishna is a very common subject. Krishna, stealthily going and to a house, and without anybody's knowledge opens the door, and sees the milk pot. Take the milk pot, that's very nice, and take the butter, eat and run away.
Of the joint family system inhibit women from going into different occupations?
It used to, but now with the rising prices and high rate of inflation, even the old-fashioned people or orthodox people feel that if there is a more earning member in the family,
In the West, when we measure time for purposes of music, we tend to take a unit and subdivide it into smaller equal units of 2 or of 4, for instance. However, yesterday in the School of Indian Music that we visited, the drummer was using a different system to organize time. He added smaller units together.
We noticed that a problem developed that once you had the students in the cities, they didn't want to leave and go back to the rural areas. So you sort of had a brain drain from the rural areas into the urban areas.
Because of the interest in status and maintaining and achieving status through education, you could almost say that today a new caste system is developing in India based on educational achievement.
I think the main thing that's impressed me the whole thing is the kindness we've been shown in each port, opening their homes to us, taking us in like we're part of the family, meeting their relatives, having their traditional food, and, you know, just everything about that. And that's something that's really important, is to get to know the people, because that's what makes the country.
Dr. Norman Haupt lived in Africa 12 years before coming aboard.
It's a very interesting experience and very challenging. Being confined to a ship, we can never get very far away from each other. The result is that the faculty member gets to know his students very well, and a very interesting and challenging relationship develops in which living together and learning together go on simultaneously, almost constantly.
Living so close with people, you have to learn to relate, and you have to learn to get along. And it's like, it makes you aware that you're not the only person around. You open up, you give more of yourself. Making friends was really easy because everyone just goes out of their way, you know, to try to be nice. I don't know, the ship is like one big family. Everyone really works toward the goal of making it a good trip. At first, it was a place that didn't really seem like home. But after a while, after you get used to it, going there, sleeping, after walking around ports and dealing with different people, it really becomes a place that you want to go back to. It's like home.
No area is too remote. since the ship's launches can make accessible places where there is no harbor big enough for the campus.
We're standing on Tagaitai Ridge looking down on Lake Tahoe, which is in the caldera. And those of you from the States may have been to Crater Lake in Oregon, and it's similar. It is also a caldera. The island out there is a volcanic island, much like Wizard Island in Crater Lake. Now, a caldera is formed by this circular volcanic area just sinking in. The lava beneath it subsided, and down went the base of the lake, and naturally filled with water.
Dr. Ewart Baldwin, Fulbright professor and noted geologist from the University of Oregon.
Well, the students in geology have a wonderful opportunity through travel to see examples all over the world. We collect specimens from nearly every port. And they're brought back to the ship and discussed, and the better ones are kept in the collection.
Liphimisa batsho balila bonke abakwethu asemacetheni kuze edume ngohlaba ingekahlali azibayabazi wayithi namhla yayiyalwa yonke le lala semacetheni thula uthi itubhini asemntanam.
This we call praise singing, and this is purely spontaneous. But it is again custom for the medicine man that he sings his own praises. He says, I'm this big, I'm that big, I'm descended from so-and-so, and I'm able to do that.
While I was in South Africa, I had the opportunity to go visit a witch doctor. I thought the witch doctor was just the same as the Navajo medicine man because they did the same things. They were looked upon by the tribe as in the same way, and they were highly respected. While we were there, he said during his apprenticeship he was taught by a relative, and it took almost all his life. It's the same with Navajo.
You can still purchase things that are arts that have been part of these cultures for centuries. Occasionally, the students are fortunate enough to have some authority speak to us, whether it be the curator or a professor from the local university that can actually inform us firsthand where these things came from and the exact tribes. All of a sudden, art becomes living, very living quality. There's an amazing advantage being able to see something in 3 dimensions.
When I left and I was going to Africa, Africa was always the thing in elementary school that we drew pictures of and thought of as so remote, and they always call it the dark continent. And I found out in many cases it wasn't quite the dark continent that I thought it was. And it seems, yeah, Tarzan, the jungles, the swinging monkeys and everything, and I
Well, this is quite a good point here for having a good overall...
We did go by Olduvai Gorge, and we were lucky enough to have Margaret Leakey with us, and she showed us around a little bit.
From here, but this is the one we're referring to here is what is popularly called Zinj, and is in fact should be called Australopithecus boisei. That's his full fancy name. And he was found just over the slope there where you can see some white earth, just over the hill.
Reese Flora, Music Department, Monash University, Australia.
Well, one of the unusual opportunities that students will have on this trip will be to both see and hear a tremendous variety of expressions of music and dance in the different cultures that they visit, both in Africa and Asia.
Nearing the end of the semester, there is reminiscing over good times and a great deal of conjecture over which port had been the most interesting and meaningful. All look forward to the next port. Home, the place there is no place quite like. Though the influence of the trip will vary from person to person, in general, a more mature, deeper thinking, deeper feeling, markedly changed individual is returning. But this was their experience. You need to smell, hear, touch, and see for yourself.